Oh yeah. All right. So just one challenge before I go. Once we launch mobile apps, the goal is one referral a day for at least 5 days. 5 referrals within 5 days of launching mobile apps. Everybody would have every single person one a day for 5 days. That's it. One a day for 5 days. But if everybody who joins does that, we'll have 60 million users in 30 days. 60 million users in 30 days.
And then all we do is listen to you. We've been listening to you, as you know.
Awesome. That's awesome. Me too. I've been listening to you guys. So, and I appreciate all the support. I just came in to say, hey, it's been a great Sunday fun day. You guys are, you know how to party down on Sundays. But yeah, you're like me, working up nights and weekends and putting the hours in. So I caught some of your talk there about the real estate. And, you know, it's great. It's great to talk about the importance of personal and business branding inside of social media. I mean, that's literally what social media is about today. Is if you aren't using it to stay in touch with friends and family, then you're using it for personal branding or business branding. Those are really the two biggest use cases. Beyond that is just meeting new friends, right? So, and people really don't use social media that much for those things anymore. So if it comes down to maintaining your personal relationships or maintaining your brand or growing a business, or, you know, if you're a freelancer, which is still a business, it all comes down to brand, right? It comes down to your personal brand, your professional brand, and who you are and the value of relationships. Now, from a story perspective, if you look at the world today, you look at, let's use Facebook as an example. Facebook is a very powerful platform. They have 2.6 billion users across all their platforms at any given point in time. So that's more than half of the internet users that are connected to the internet today worldwide. Now, it's also a little bit more than a quarter of the planet. And when you consider kids who aren't old enough yet to be on the internet, and you consider adults that that really don't use the internet very much, the elderly, even though that's one of the fastest growing market segments in social media is 70 plus. So when you consider that, they have a pretty good like hold on the market with 2.6 billion users. And what is their platform? Well, if you look at their mission statement is about connecting the world. And I think they've done a pretty good job at that. But what they didn't think about in the process of connecting the world is what kind of responsibility you have once you've done that, right? If you've connected the world, now what? What is your responsibility? Because now governments are looking at companies that connect the world with responsibility to be government. I mean, there's even court cases in the United States that are coming up where they got subpoenaed. The CEOs of these companies got subpoenaed to say, all right, now let's look at, are you going to be responsible for user-driven content now? Right. So, which, you know, I do have an opinion on that, because I don't believe a corporation is responsible for censoring people's right to free speech, right? I mean, that's what the government's saying. The government's saying, are you going to censor this? Because if you're not, then you're going to be responsible if there's any legal action that comes out of it. And that's basically the government saying, you got to take away people's right of free speech on our behalf, right? That's pretty messed up, I think. Mm-hmm. But really what needs to happen at the government level at the highest level possible is we need to go and amend whatever 300-year-old contract or longer contracts our countries have with our people and our government. And we need to turn around and say, hey, the right to free speech belongs to people, not to corporations. Because corporations that are putting out content for clickbait to be monetized are the ones creating the polarization in the world. It's that content that gets fed into social networks. It's not the social networks creating it. It's media companies profiting off of content that's polarizing or literally false. Could be blatant lies.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it because it creates a lot of media attention. It gets a lot of people to share it and click it, which then drives ad revenue and drives profits. So big media companies should be the ones that have their rights taken away from being able to put out things that are opinion-based, non-fact-based information and profit from it, right? So you can't, if you're going to put out an opinion, you can't have any profit motive whatsoever behind it. And I think that's what needs to change, not just in the United States, but around the world. Because if media companies are free to monetize lies, they're going to put out lies all day long. That's not social media's fault. That's not tech companies' fault that create tools for people to connect and create success and establish relationships. That's the fault of the media companies that are being allowed to profit off of lies. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right at all. So what happens is when these lies get pumped out into social media, people see that they're lies and they engage on them. Either they want to believe them and they share them, or they know they're lies and they engage with them. So it's the most polarizing content that actually gets shared in social media platforms. And now all of a sudden they're looking at the Googles, the Facebooks, any platform, because YouTube, any platform that allows content to be shared. Now they're saying these companies are going to be responsible. And that's not right. It's, you need to hold media companies responsible. You need to change the rules, and you need to stop allowing corporations to profit off of lies, period. Because if they can do that, then it kills, any hope of changing our world, because it just creates more and more polarization. It divides people instead of brings them together, right? So I think when these events start transpiring, it's really going to tell the tale, because not just in the United States, but worldwide. So keep an eye on that. I think that's one big thing. So moving beyond that issue, you've got other issues. When you've got 2.6 billion people all connected, you have a responsibility to look out for their futures, right? Because you just created this platform that you're making. Last year, Facebook made $70 billion with a B. Yeah, that's revenue. $70 billion Facebook made last year. And they did that on ads. And they did that monetizing your content. Granted, they built billions of dollars worth of software, and they have to pay for the hosting infrastructure, which they've done multiple times over. Now they have their own data centers. In fact, Facebook, I think, has like 13 data centers worldwide now. They still have to pay for the energy costs, pay for servers, pay for the staff that maintains the infrastructure. I get all that. That's part of running a business. But the fact of the matter is, half of what they do is software, and the other half is distribute content that's other people's content, right? So if half of the money being made is not from them, it's from their members, then they have a responsibility to help their member base. Whether they're doing it through charity, whether they're doing it by directly giving money back to people, whether they're doing it by creating jobs or education infrastructure, it doesn't matter what it is, but they have a right, they have a responsibility to take the money and not give it to their investors. They have a responsibility to give it to their users who are creating half of their income for them, right? Because they have to realize that the ad model, while many businesses have been around for a long time using an ad model, newspapers, TV shows, magazines, they've all used ad models, and they've all used ad models to grow. But they're paying for the content inside of what they're selling. They're paying for the movie script and for the movie to be created. They're paying for the articles to be written. They're paying for all the content to be created. So they own the content. So they have the right to monetize the content because they own it, right? But social networks don't own the content that's in it. You're just monetizing it. So these are content creators that need to be paid, right? And this is something, if that's not happening, it's because people are doing it voluntarily. If they're doing it voluntarily, then their half should go to charity, right? Their half should go to help the world. So there has to be some kind of responsibility being held between the Twitters, the Facebooks of the world, right? The TikToks of the world. There's got to be some kind of responsibility to pay back content creators. And that's why Webtalk was created. Webtalk was created because we believe that by creating a platform focused solely on the success of the member, not for our investors and our shareholders, but solely on the success of our members. What can we do as a networking platform that can really benefit our member base? Everything that we do has to help the world. And that's how we went into this mission. We went into this mission of what do we have to do to make this successful, and what along the way can we do that will help our members? So we started with the product. The product, number one, was let's build a better social network. Let's build one that gives control back to the members, control over your contacts, over your communication, over your newsfeed channels, and what you want to see, what you don't want to see. So all over your algorithms, so you can control it, and even control over removing ads if you don't ever want to see ads again. So that's where the pro features come in. So we wanted to give full control back to our members, and then at the same time give an opportunity to take half of the revenue and give it back to our members, right? And then obviously you guys all know 10% of our profits, what we have left out of that 50, 10% goes to charity, right? So we are doing everything we can to help the world and our member base. Now, moving forward, every single product that we launch is going to be there to help our member base. Now, for next version of Pro that we're going to launch next year, everything gets enhanced and upgraded over time. You'll see that with every single platform. So with ours, the free software is getting, has been getting upgrades all year through Webtalk. The biggest one's coming over the next week with the launch of our new universal profile. That's a big launch. And then once that's done, we integrate all of the new features in the universal profile into mobile apps, and then we can launch mobile apps. So they're right around the corner, which is awesome. So moving into next year, though, we're really focused on the services that are going to be paid services. We want to be competitive with what people are already paying for in platforms like ours, both price and service. So as we move into next year, we're looking at building in matchmaker services into our pro subscriptions, which will help job seekers find jobs. So like a jobs platform, but it'll be more like almost, I guess, for better lack of comparison, think of like the swipe cards on a Tinder, but we're going to do that for both job seekers looking for jobs or recruiters looking through candidates once you go through a search. But we're also doing that for investors and entrepreneurs looking to raise money. So you'll have that whole swapping going through. So you'll get that. You'll get local friend finders. So based on interests. So you have the personal and the professional side of it. And you'll be able to opt into, as a Matchmaker Pro member, you'll be able to opt into any of these searches. But when you do, you add yourself to the search directory. So you have to be found to be able to find. And it's basically an opt-in for each one of these. But you can't be involved unless you're a Matchmaker Pro member. And then we have Business Pro. And Business Pro is going to allow you to link to export contacts into the contact managers like Salesforce, into MailChimps, so you can do your own newsletters, things of that nature. So we're going to have big expansion into our Pro feature sets next year. Moving into advertisements. Our goal has always been to really focus on partnering with companies that are going to change the world. And then on top of that, you know, we're promoting products that are good for the earth, and we're giving 10% of our profits to charity. So everything we do is focused on a win-win-win. It's got to win for you, it's got to win for us, and it's got to win for the world. And that is it. That is really the vision in a nutshell. Now, whatever you're doing on existing social media will eventually come to Webtalk. We're not a multi-billion-dollar company yet, but we will be there. You know, I'm confident that we will be there, that we will continue to grow. You know, every couple of weeks, we're always launching updates and, you know, either bug fixes, new features, new services. I mean, we're constantly analyzing how can we make things better based on the budget that we do have, which means, you know, higher priority items come first and then we move on to the next. And we've been doing this for years now. And so the platform, you know, come back every month and the platform is better, right? You'll see updates every single month, and we're going to constantly be making updates. We're not going to stop. So you'll always see updates happening to our platform. And what you're seeing right now, and many of you have been here for a while now, but what you're actually seeing is years of work coming to a head right now, literally this quarter. This quarter is, we just spent 2 years dissecting the data of the platform of how to be the first company to do an all-in-one, because nobody's done it before. So the closest out there is a company called Bumble. And Bumble, most people think is a dating app, but they don't know that you can toggle between the dating app and then they have professional networking and they have a friend finder. So they have three different personas that you can go into, but you have to log out of one to go into the other. So it's basically three separate platforms, and it doesn't do anywhere near what Webtalk does, because it's really focused on just the app market. But Bumble is a multi-billion-dollar company already, and they were trying to do that. They're trying to offer all these services using the same tech, but the problem is your relationships are still spread out. There's no way to consolidate to manage them effectively so you can get all the value out of the relationship capital out of them, right? So that still keeps, you know, the relationship capital all over the place. It's very difficult, but they're basically the closest company out there to you know, the all-in-one solution, right? That we're trying to, or we have pulled off with the social CRM. So now all we're doing is we're figuring out how to make this experience even more polished, which we're doing with the new profile and, you know, photo galleries, content galleries. So you're keeping everything segregated, personal, professional, between news, galleries, profile data. So all of that was really kind of, it was experimental, you know, and you guys helped us go through those experiments over the last 2 years if you've been here, and figuring out how do we make this work? How do we make it still streamlined so there isn't friction, so people can make connections quickly, but the contact manager is still there and it's apparent that it's there. So you're able to, you know, start adding tags to relationships, adding values to relationships, and giving you those controls without making it too hard to actually network, right? To quickly connect with somebody or follow somebody. So we had to like have that perfect balance between the simplicity for the everyday user to, the more robust feature sets for the, professional marketers and networkers that need that contact management, right? So all of that has been done, and now we're wrapping up all the final changes to the profile, which will save the best for last. Once that's done, the beta platform is done, with the exception of one feature set that we had to pull because we're going to reintroduce it next year, which is native video. So we had native video actually a long time ago, and most people won't know that if you weren't here at the very beginning, but we ended up pulling it because it was just very heavy, and it required a lot of money to put behind the video infrastructure. So we decided to pull it, and we can relaunch it pretty much at any time. We're just waiting to get revenue back up and get growth back up, and just be able to have the budget available to launch native video again. So our plan is to try to do that early next year. But between now and then, we've got the profile getting launched, new photo galleries, all the new features in the profile, iOS and Android apps, and the new Rewards app. And that was the other thing. So Rewards was a brand new thing. Nobody's offered up half their revenue before through a platform like this. And, to do it right, to make it fair, to make it easy to consume for somebody who wants to get started right away. And this was like another experiment. It was like, okay, well, we want to give away the revenue back to our members. How do we do this effectively to where we're not violating terms of like Google, AdWords and Google AdSense with how ads are being posted on our platform. So we couldn't violate their terms. We also didn't want to incentivize fraud with people doing click fraud and ads and trying to manipulate the system that way. So we wanted to create a system that just rewarded engagement on the platform and tie that engagement to the ad revenue that comes into the platform. And that took some time and some finessing to develop the algorithms, to track how people are engaging with each other, and really design a system that is going to be optimal for influencers and content creators who are actually putting out good content, getting like sincere likes and comments from real people, like normal social networking behavior. So we had to write all these custom algorithms for detecting when it's not normal behavior. So there's no points awarded, right? And all this has gone on pretty much all of 2020. So, and just to let everybody know, building something like this just doesn't happen overnight. I mean, the technology that you guys see and are using in Webtalk has been in development, and the drafts and the designs for the phase one of this were done, and we filed patents on them, or 4 patents on them in 2015. We're hoping to get the actual patents this year, by the way. But COVID kind of slowed that down. So the whole process of building all this technology has been ongoing for the last 5 years in the current product that you're seeing now. So 5 years, $10 million, in the work of a team that's working, here it is, I don't know, midnight on a Sunday. Yeah. That's always working and pushing forward to make this happen. Oh yeah. All right. So just one challenge before I go. Once we launch mobile apps, the goal is 1 referral a day for at least 5 days. 5 referrals within 5 days of launching mobile apps. Everybody would have every single person 1 a day for 5 days. That's it. 1 a day for 5 days. But if everybody who joins does that, we'll have 60 million users in 30 days. 60 million users in 30 days.